Okay, 101, week 8, part 10. Nobody's gonna watch this whole thing, but if you do, I'm gonna give you a little fun thing to do right now. My name is Jeff Klock. My first name is spelled G-E-O. My name is spelled insanely. My parents gave me a crazy name. So my name is Jeff Klock, but Jeff is spelled G-E-O-F-F. My last name is spelled K-L-O-C-K. I am the only person on the internet with that name. So, one thing you could do is to go, and you can discuss this in the discussion board. It could be a perfectly fun thing to do. Go look me up on Google. Go put Jeff Klock into Google, and you can tell me whether you think I'm someone worth quoting in a college paper. You can look up all your professors like that. See, theoretically, all of your professors should be worth quoting in a college paper because we are experts. I am an expert at things. I'm an expert in Shakespeare. I'm an expert in David Lynch. I know some shit. You can quote me in your papers. I've written books. You could find some of them. Don't buy them. Don't buy anything. I'm not trying to sell you shit. See? Trustworthy. Don't buy any of my stuff. But if you really want something, I'll fucking email it to you. Don't pay any money for nonsense. So I just realized I forgot to tell you something. It's fine. So go Google me. Put me into Google and see what comes up. And there's pages and pages of stuff on me. Go click around. Go see what you can find. You can look inside books I've written. You can watch lectures that I've given on YouTube. And the point is you should be able to figure out from looking about that whether I'm a trustworthy person. Now, I'll give you a spoiler alert. Yes, I am. I'm a very trustworthy person to quote in a college paper. But it may be fun. It's a fun way for you to kind of test out what I've been saying. Go look and see if I'm worth quoting. I just taught you all the things you should know about what's worth quoting and what's not worth quoting. Cool. Okay. We're doing good. I remember the thing I forgot to tell you. Here's the thing I forgot to tell you. When you go on Google Scholar and you click on stuff, sometimes it might say, they'll show you a part of the essay that you want to read, and then they'll say you have to pay to read the rest of it. Now, do not do that. Don't pay. Because if you find out how much you have to pay, they're going to want crazy amounts of money, like $500, $1,000. Don't do that. Why? Because you pay tuition for BMCC. Part of your tuition, BMCC pays for that shit. So log into the BMCC website, log in through the library, and then do your searches. If you do that, then more things will be open to you. If you are logged in as a BMCC student, then you don't have to pay for shit. You get shit that BMCC already paid for with your tuition money. And if you have trouble getting a hold of anything, you can come talk to me and we can try to find something. But the point is, there's so many things to quote. This shouldn't be that big a deal because there's a million things on the internet that you can quote. Just find the trustworthy shit. And sometimes YouTube is often fucking garbage. It's so much garbage on there. But every once in a while, there's something on there worth quoting. How do you know? Find who's speaking, Google search them, check to make sure they're trustworthy, etc. Okay, it's time for a little quiz. Not a quiz exactly, but let's finish talking about this. So I'm gonna take a look at this. I think this is gonna work. Oh, hey, it does work. Okay, so let's take a look at some examples of what you could quote. So I'm going to give you a quote right here. Let's take a look at this. Are you going to quote this in your college paper? No wonder then that for Kafka, bureaucracy was, quote, closer to original human nature than any other social institution. What is this original human nature if not the fact that man is from the very beginning a being of a language, Baudelaire? And what is superego, the functioning mode of bureaucratic knowledge, if not the purest, most radical embodiment of the signifier as cause of the subject's division, of the signifier's injunction on its traumatic, senseless aspect? What? Are you going to quote that in your paper? No. Why not? It's too fucking hard. I don't understand that. It's very hard to understand. I mean, look at this. What is superego, the functioning mode of bureaucratic knowledge, if not the purest, most radical embodiment of the signifier as the cause of the subject's division, of the signifier's injunction on its traumatic, senseless aspect? Don't quote that, guys. Because I don't know what the fuck that means. Don't quote shit if you don't know what it means. Now with Plato, I know you look at Plato and you're like, I don't know what Plato means. But if you slow down and you have my lectures, you can figure it out. Now, if you slow down on this, you need a lot of help from an expert to follow that. It's just too hard to do on your own. Now, Plato, you're doing with me, so you can handle that. But that's too hard. Don't do that. It's too hard. All right, cool. Let's try something else. Actually, just to say a couple of other things. One of the ways you know you're in trouble here is see where he has being of language in quotation marks, but he doesn't say where he got it from? It's because he expects you to already know. Why would you know that? Because he's talking to other experts. And he's a psychoanalysis expert. So for other psychoanalysts, they're going to know exactly what he's talking about because they're experts in the field, but you're not an expert, and so you can't follow that. I can barely follow that, and I've tried. Okay, so that's not going to work. You need knowledge of upper-level psychoanalysis to make any fucking sense of that. Okay, let's try something else. This is a funny story. This is a website called cheathouse.com, essays and papers for students. And see, this is an essay, The Trial is a book by Kafka, and they have an essay here, and then this is an essay sample, and if you click below, you can download the essay and put your name at the top of it and plagiarize and cheat. Now, the funny thing that happened to me was I had a student who, now you're supposed to use this website to cheat, right? It's cheating, and if I catch you doing that, I'll give you 0, and there's a whole other lecture, that was last week. But this student didn't use it to cheat. This student quoted it, meaning they were like, according to cheathouse.com, and then they put it in quotation marks and they put the technical information at the bottom of the paper. Did I give them a 0? No. Why? Because the 0 is for people who are cheating and trying to trick me. They weren't trying to trick me. They didn't make that work look like their work, but they tried to use it for research. It's not research. How do you know? How come they can't? So, okay, obviously you shouldn't use it for cheating, but can you quote it? No, you can't. Why not? Take a look at it. Where's the name of the author? Who wrote this? See, they don't tell you who wrote it. Why? Because you're supposed to claim you wrote it. So that's fucking garbage. Also, I don't know if you can see this, but if you look over here, the level of this thing is for high school, 11th grade. So you don't want to quote 11th grade shit in a college class. That's dumb. And there's no author, so it's not an expert. And also, I'm not going to go over it in detail, but if you actually read that thing, it's got all kinds of errors and garbage in it. It's just full of mistakes, and it's messy. So it's not worth quoting. One of the main things is you can't find the author. So, all right, that's an easy one. Okay, cool. And it's too short, way too short. All right, let's look at one of my students' very favorite ones. My students fucking love this website, brainyquote.com. So let's zoom in here. Robert Frost. A poem begins in delight and ends in wisdom. Okay, that's a pretty good quote. I like it. So a couple of things here. Robert Frost, if you were to Google search him, is one of the most famous poets who ever lived. So he seems like he'd be an expert on poetry. And then you've got this quote, a poem begins in delight and ends in wisdom. Okay, and then this is the website, brainyquote.com. Are you going to quote that in your paper? I will give you a couple of seconds to think about it, and I'll show you the website. Are you going to quote this in your paper? All right. Take a couple of minutes and think about it. Maybe just pause it and think about it.